Masons have deep roots in Prescott, dating back to our very founding, with ancient history dating back to King Solomon's Temple in Israel. Masonic brothers started meeting locally before 1864, but the first mention found in an effort to start a lodge in Prescott was a letter written by Alexander A. Bell, very worshipful Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of California, dating back to July 29, 1864. This was the reply to a letter from Prescott Mayor and Masonic brother John Howard. To ensure this Prescott delivery, the letter had to be addressed directly to Fort Whipple and summarize the willingness to do everything in his power to help Masons in Prescott form a lodge. The first recorded minutes are by Lieutenant Charles Curtis in 1864 at the house of Governor John Goodwin, a brother. The lodge building still stands on Charlotte Hall Museum's grounds downtown. Brother Goodwin presided, and after satisfying themselves that all present were Master Masons, it was resolved to apply to the Grand Lodge of California for a dispensation to open a lodge in Prescott. John Alsop was chosen as the first master of the lodge, with 9 total members signing the petition. We still have those first minutes in Lieutenant Curtis's own handwriting as part of the archives here today at the lodge. It was a team of brothers that started the first lodge, costing some their very lives. Before the request could be filed, the nearest active lodge had to recommend the new formation. The only difficulty was that Santa Fe, New Mexico was the closest lodge to Prescott. This was without the assistance of trains, planes. Horseback was the fastest mode of transportation in 1864. So Brother Joseph Lennon agreed to ride and procure the endorsement. Almost a year later, their endorsement request was complete. Governor Goodwin was chosen to present the petition to the Grand Lodge of California that was granted on April 23, 1865. The work of the lodge was duly opened 3 months later on July 23rd. The Civil War caused great hardship on the first brothers of the lodge. Currency was difficult and rarely reliable, and so the first lodge dues, they were paid in gold and silver coins, or in gold dust in 1866. That same year, a request was made to the Grand Lodge of California to change our name to the Arizona Lodge and transfer the charter from California to Arizona. Brother Joseph Walker presented the official charter to San Francisco. Aztlan is the legendary home of the Aztec people, so our name change, it was denied. But the chapter was officially granted to Arizona in July 1867. From that time forward, we have officially been named Aztlan Lodge number 177. Within 15 years, the Arizona Territory would have a total of 5 lodges with an official membership of 274. Aztlan was making an impact, even back then. At the very beginning, Aztlan Lodge was built on this idea of brotherhood and designed to bring Masonic fellowship to the pioneer town of Prescott. Brother Morris Goldwater was Prescott's mayor for some 20 years and the uncle of Arizona's most famous mid-century statesman, Barry Goldwater. He served as our Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Arizona and the founder of Goldwater and Brothers Mercantile on Cortez Street. At the turn of the century, this was a beautiful multi-story retail shop dedicated to the citizens of Prescott. But Morris, he was a brother first, and he encouraged our Aztlan Lodge to meet on the second floor of the Goldwater Mercantile for decades, from 1879 until the first temple was built on Cortez Street. Masons and cornerstones are synonymous, but we just didn't have a place to call our own until 1907. The first Masonic temple was built on Cortez Street and was so well built it stands there even today. This one building made it possible for the next generation of brothers to tie the fraternity to something deeper and stronger that keeps our brotherhood alive to this very day. Brothers had to encourage each other and rally the building of one of the largest structures in Prescott and the tallest. It may not seem like much by today's standards, but in 1901, a total sum of $5,000 was raised to purchase the Cortez land, and it would be 6 years before enough money could be gathered to start construction that cost an astronomical sum of $38,000 in that day. Long before the 4 p.m. hour set for the laying of the cornerstone, the streets in the vicinity were thronged with people to witness an event not only important to Masonic annals, but in the very history of the city of Prescott itself, as quoted out of the Prescott Courier, October 21st, 1907. Within the cornerstone, there still stands in place today a tin box containing the Holy Bible, square in compass, 3 pictures of Prescott showing the 3 Masonic halls, a picture of the Elks Opera House, a copy of the Great Registry of Yavapai County, copy of the Prescott Morning Courier, a full set of lodge plans, roster, 1 penny, 1 commandery cross, copy of the bylaws and history of Aztlan Lodge, a picture of the O'Neill Monument, a small copper bar from Jerome, and various pictures of other Prescott buildings tied to Masonry. After the cornerstone was laid in much Masonic pomp and circumstance, the 4-story building was occupied. This was a huge building by Arizona Territory standards, but the original layout was similar to what we have in today's lodge on Willow Creek. The first floor was leased to a commercial trust company. The second floor was commercial offices with doctors' and nurses' offices and several Prescott attorneys. It even had an X-ray lab at one point. Brother Masons met on the 3rd floor with a large parlor room and banquet hall. The 4th floor was reserved for the Knights Templar Armory and committee rooms. We met in that temple for close to 75 years. Hatred and vandalism, it's not new to Masons. It's why we have such strong bonds and look after other brothers, their wives, widows, and orphans. Even this year, the original Masonic temple, built over 100 years ago, was offensively tagged. Hatred like this has been seen before by the Nazi Party, fascist Italy, and Japan of the 1940s. Even today, the communist countries of Russia and China, along with Iraq's Saddam Hussein back in the day, and extreme Islamic countries, all fear Masons and outlaw their gathering, temples, and Christian values. Masons always keep on the same level, just like brothers, no one greater than the other, but all looking after each man standing. And for those that move on to the Celestial Lodge, we look after their children, their widows, and estate. We care for each other like only true brothers can. In Matthew 5:16, it says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." This is why so many men you know are Masons. Masons are a light on a hill, illuminating our families and patriotically striving to make our communities better. The very foundation of America was built by hundreds of Masons you know. 14 Masons have served as U.S. presidents, starting with our very first, Brother George Washington, who said of Masonry, "So far as I am acquainted with the principles and doctrines of Freemasonry, I conceive it to be founded in benevolence and be exercised only for the good of mankind. Freemasonry is founded on the immutable laws of truth and justice, and its grand object is to promote the happiness of the human race." Quote from George Washington. President Andrew Jackson and his opponent running for the presidency, Henry Clay, both Masons, felt the same way. President Washington was not alone. Brothers Benjamin Franklin, Paul Revere, and Brother Samuel Adams believed the same, along with 13 of the 39 who signed the Constitution, all active members in their Masonic lodges. At all levels and in every corner of society, Masons work to influence the good of mankind. Even Brother Al Sharpton is still active on social rights. Chairman of the NAACP is Brother Julian Bond. Masons are not afraid to get involved while respecting one another. Entertainers like Duke Ellington, Casanova, even Mozart were all Masons. President Franklin Roosevelt and Agriculture Secretary Henry Wallace are the Masons responsible in 1935 for the Masonic symbol of the all-seeing eye of God on our dollar bill. One of Masonry's proudest moments was the landing on the moon by Brother Buzz Aldrin, Apollo 11, and the establishment of Tranquility Lodge in 1969. Masonry is not a secret society, other than the handshake that helps us identify each other, even in the darkest places. We encourage Masonic values and hold each other accountable to higher virtue, values, compassion, justice, and brotherly love. It's why one of our mottos is, we're making good men even better. In 1979, the original Cortez Temple was increasingly difficult to use without parking, elevators, and continuous upkeep. It was time for a move. The lodge sold the Cortez Building and bought a large undeveloped plot of land that stretched from Iron Springs Road past the Safeway and Cow Ranch and back to the current lodge. It was rightly named Masonic Square, and building began. Pieces of this land were sold to help finance our construction. The real work was done by our members. A special thanks still goes out to the Order of the Eastern Star for their dedication. Others donated directly to the construction fund. Prominent Masons donated architect plans to a temple they would never set foot in. Brothers in the contract trades substantially subsidized their costs to stretch our funds and complete our new temple. The original plans called for 2 floors with an exact replica of the original Cortez Temple inside. A 3rd floor was added through the donations and generosity of brothers for the use of Masonic youth, such as D. Millay, Rainbow, and Job's Daughters. Over time, it is shared by other Masonic bodies, like the Scottish Rite, the York Rite. Even civic groups like Toastmasters meet at the new lodge today. Local Masons are involved nationally. We helped build the George Washington Memorial in Alexandria, Virginia. There's no secret here. Inside, you will witness the exact replica of Brother Washington's lodge room Masons met in from the very beginning. The House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. is the headquarters for all Scottish Rite Freemasons in the United States. The Detroit, Michigan Masonic Temple is the world's largest, located at 500 Temple Street. The building serves as the York Rite Sovereign College of North America. The building contains a variety of public spaces, including 3 theaters, 3 ballrooms, a banquet hall, and a 160 by 100 foot drill hall. Recreation facilities include a swimming pool, handball court, gymnasiums, bowling alley. The building includes numerous lodge rooms, offices, and dining spaces, as well as a hotel section, although the hotel rooms are only available to nobility of the Mystic Shrine and or Blue Lodge Masons. The Philadelphia Temple is located at 1 North Broad Street, the headquarters of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. The temple features a Masonic library, a museum of Pennsylvania. They receive thousands of Masonic and citizen visitors every year to view this ornate structure. The New York City Grand Lodge is the top list of Masonic places to visit in the U.S. It organizes 60,000 Masons in more than 800 lodges, most of them located within the tri-state area. It's also considered one of the oldest Masonic lodges, having established on December 15, 1781. It is one of the most beautiful, highly decorated, and luxurious temples in the world, Big Apple style, and all are welcome to visit, Masonic or otherwise. Master Masons know who is a fellow Mason by their signs and secret handshakes, words and mannerisms. We look after each other, along with their families, children, wives, and widows. It's part of the creed. It's what we do. More than just making good men better, we're looking after one another just like you would a dearest brother.